Zookeepers on Reddit, which animal is much less fun to care for than people expect? Seals look like cheerful sea puppies until you meet one at feeding time. People expect the fish to be the worst part. Keepers say the animal itself can smell much stronger, especially when it opens its mouth directly in front of you. One wildlife worker described taking a sea lion burp to the face and immediately learning why the training included a warning about holding your breath. They remained adorable from a respectful distance. Zebras have the appearance of unusually stylish horses and the temperament of an animal that never agreed to be domesticated. Several people describe them as unpredictable, territorial, and extremely quick to react. Humans spent years trying to train zebras to work like horses, including pulling carriages. The zebras consistently rejected the proposal. There is a reason striped horses never became ordinary farm animals. Red pandas create a cruel emotional contradiction. They are almost impossibly cute, but keepers say they produce an astonishing amount of waste for such a small animal. One worker would finish scrubbing every perch only to watch the red panda follow behind and immediately undo the entire job. The animal was not angry. It simply had a different definition of a clean enclosure. Prairie dogs turned routine enclosure cleaning into a defensive operation. One former worker entered with a broom, not to strike them, but to use as a shield. The animals could emerge from any tunnel and launch themselves at the nearest pair of legs. Their underground network made it impossible to know where the next attack would begin. It felt less like caring for a cute rodent and more like playing a very anxious game of whack-a-mole. Chimpanzees are frightening because they combine enormous strength with enough intelligence to make the danger personal. Keepers described them waiting for someone to move within reach, then grabbing hair, radios, or equipment. They can pretend to cooperate, reject medicine hidden in food, and create a new strategy the next time a keeper returns. Many zoo workers love their personalities. They also respect every barrier between them. Birds of prey can turn a feeding into a coordinated security exercise. At one sanctuary, workers reportedly entered a fish-eagle enclosure in a group of 3. One person completed the task while 2 others watched the birds. The concern was that one eagle could create a distraction while the other approached from outside the worker's field of view. The birds were beautiful, intelligent, and apparently familiar with teamwork. Hedgehogs are not always the quiet little creatures people imagine. Wildlife volunteers described individuals that hissed from the moment they were born, resisted feeding, bit hard, and left every surface noticeably dirtier than before. One baby apparently decided that its food bowl was not a bowl at all, but a tiny swimming pool. They were difficult, stubborn, and still cute enough to avoid losing every friend in the room. Koalas can be surprisingly demanding. Their food has to be presented in a way they recognize, not merely placed nearby. Keepers also mentioned sharp claws, strong smells, considerable weight, and an impressive ability to remain asleep while a human does all the work. Being used as a climbing tree by a heavy animal is charming for approximately 2 minutes. Smaller monkeys can be more exhausting than the animals visitors consider dangerous. They are fast, curious, and constantly testing anything within reach. A loose tool, an unsecured latch, or a moment of distraction can create an immediate problem. Some keepers said they preferred working around much larger animals because at least the larger animal's location was obvious. Tiny hands become much less cute when they are opening the thing you just closed. Wolf-dog hybrids often look familiar enough to make people underestimate them. Rescue workers warn that these animals do not behave like unusually adventurous pets. Their reactions can be difficult to predict, especially after poor treatment or inadequate socialization. Secure double fencing and experienced handling are not optional decorations. Looking like a dog does not mean an animal thinks like the dog in your home. Alpacas disappointed people for a completely different reason. They may be soft, peaceful, and easy to admire, but they do not necessarily enjoy being touched. Unlike many familiar domestic animals, they do not use social grooming in the same way. A human can feed and care for an alpaca every day without receiving the affectionate response they expected. Sometimes the difficult animal is not dangerous. It simply has no interest in becoming your friend. The discussion eventually produced a simple conclusion. Nearly every animal smells worse, thinks faster, or causes more trouble than visitors realize. That does not make the animals bad. It shows how much invisible work happens before the public sees a peaceful enclosure. Keepers clean, plan, observe behavior, manage risk, prepare food, provide medicine, and solve problems that the animal will recreate the following morning. The animals get to remain mysterious and adorable because someone else arrives early with a bucket, a brush, and a very detailed safety procedure. Every day, we find the questions Reddit can't stop talking about. Have a story like this? Share it below. It might be featured in a future video. See you in the next story.